Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. And welcome to Thursday's edition. It is Thursday. I just remembered Thursday's edition of the Doctor Who Daily. Today we're talking about Stephen Moffat and that girl in the fireplace. I know it's the girl in the fireplace, but I think this is a fascinating episode. Instead of going deeply into the nuances of the episode, and I do like the episode, it's really, really good. But I think it's interesting. Now, if I remember rightly, this is Stephen Moffat's third episode in Doctor Who revival lore. A very big decision of Russell T Davies to bring him into the fold from the very, very beginning. So we had his two-parter in season 1 of the revival, and then he brought him back again for this one, which is just a one-episode story. But this is an interesting one, because the Doctor has now regenerated. Him and Rose are getting along, so it's an interesting tale. And Mickey has come along as well. So Rose initially not happy that Mickey's there, but they seem to be hanging around a bit. Of course, she's in love with the Doctor. She's not really in love with Mickey anymore, but they're still friends. And don't forget, they grew up in the neighbourhood together. So they do have important history. But I'll tell you one of the things I will say from the very beginning, that this kind of story tells me, and what he does with it, he hates Rose Tyler. Stephen Moffat hates Rose Tyler. I mean, the first opportunity he got, he boots her out of this story. You know, RTD, Russell T Davies, is carefully knitting this dynamic and love story between Rose and the Doctor. What does she do? You know, go off with the tin dog, which is what Mickey kind of named himself as. Right, you're not important in this episode. You know, I'm not dealing with that. And in a way, I think that's why Mickey was on board for a few episodes, just to distract from that. Because I think the problem is as well, because Davies knew at that point Billie Piper was leaving, so they had an end story for that relationship, which was a very tragic story of them being apart forever. You know, on different alternate universes. But the point being, what you see from the girl in the fireplace from the very off is that Moffat doesn't want to deal with Rose. He doesn't want the Doctor to be dealing with a little girl, because Rose really is, in terms of the Doctor, I mean, he's hundreds of years old at this point. What is he, 900 years old? Whatever he is at that point. I can't keep track. Bloody hell, should I say, is so old now, and I don't even know the exact age of the Doctor anymore. But anyway, so what they do is, they do this whole story where he meets this little girl, is it Renette, in the past, and she's a little girl. Then she's a grown woman. She's Madame de Pompadour. And when the Doctor figures who she is out, he's fascinated by her. He loves her. This is a classic love story. This is like the old films. You know, a love story from the old films you used to get. It's just a one-off love affair, and it's not going to last. And it has a beginning, middle, and ending. I like that, and I like the tragedy of it. I like the fact that the Doctor leaves her to do something, and then he thinks he's going to come back and take her with him. Now, this is interesting. Now, let's be clear about this. Rose never knows about this. Moffat's very clever here, because Moffat can see who the Doctor really is. The Doctor's not a bad person for doing this, because he doesn't think about relationships with people in human terms. For him, you don't just have a relationship, an exclusive relationship with one person. You know, you can make as many friends as you want. And although the Doctor is in love with Rose in those terms, he can't decipher it like we do. So he's going, yeah, come with me, man. You know, he's madly in love with her, she's madly in love with him. What's going to happen though? How's Rose going to feel about this? You know, and so it's an interesting dynamic, and I think this is probably one of my favourite episodes from Stephen Moffat. Everyone goes mad for Blink. I like that episode. I think it's okay, but I don't think it's anywhere near on the level of nuance and depth of the girl in the fireplace, and that's just my personal opinion. Please comment down below constructively and tell me what you think of my opinion and what you think of the girl in the fireplace. So it's a very, very clever episode, and Moffat always has thought about Doctor Who very deeply. I like that when Renette, is it Renette? I said her name a minute ago, I've forgotten it already. Whatever her name is, right? And she goes to Rose. The Doctor and the Monsters, or something like that. And I forgot the actual, if someone remembers that line, please comment it down below as well. He's worth the monsters, or whatever it is anyway. I love it, and the way the actress actually plays it is beautiful. And what a beautiful, talented actor he chose to play the character of Renette. So it's so good. This story isn't about these robotic villains or anything like this. This is just about the relationship between the Doctor and Renette. You know, this is classic Doctor Who. And this is actually a hint to what Moffat was going to do when he was going to take over, which we didn't know he was going to do when he was writing The Girl in the Fireplace. But really, you know, the 11th Doctor and Amy. Amy is literally the girl in the fireplace, although they don't fall in love with him or anything. But he meets a little girl, she becomes older. Do you see the pattern? It's there. He was giving it to us already, so he likes that element. And it really works here. And I mean, it's a bit of a dodgy kind of scenario here, because he does meet her when she's a very young girl. The age gap is huge. It's a chasm. And I think because we live in such a cynical society, there's lots of ways that you could say, this is a bit of a creepy storyline. But if you take all of that shit out and don't be so fucking cynical, it's actually a good love story, because isn't this what love really is? Love doesn't last forever. That feeling you have for someone you fall in love with, even the person you've been with now for 20 years, you don't love them as much now as you did when you were in the early stages. So there's an element of this love story where there doesn't have to be the pain of you hurting each other. She dies, but it's very tragic because he thinks he's coming back to get her. And Moffat's a genius, because we finish off this episode in such a beautiful way, because she leaves him a letter. And, you know, I can't remember the fucking letter. But I love this bit when Mickey tells Rose, let's leave the Doctor alone. And Rose goes, are you okay, Doctor? And I fucking love this. This is one of my favourite pieces of writing that Stephen Moffat has ever done. One of the best pieces of the revival. This is the emotional depth that the revival has brought in to Doctor Who, something we've lost since RTD and Moffat have left. But this is brilliant. Are you okay, Doctor? Are you all right, Doctor? I'm always all right. And the way it's done, the way it's on paper and the way Tennant does it, it's the most chilling, one of the most chilling moments in Doctor Who history. I'm always all right. How many times do we say that, when we're all right when we're not? He's fucking devastated. He gives her this haunting look. Instead of him saying, what do you fucking think? He goes, I'm always all right. He doesn't want to take out his frustration and his heartache and heartbreak out on Rose. It's not her fault. I mean, he could even resent her for being there, and who knows what he's thinking at that time. But such a short response and line is genius by Moffat. But because Tennant is such a genius of an actor, a jackal of an actor, he swallows it up, spits it out and makes it something even bigger than it ever was. But Moffat intended that. Make no mistake about it. I'm always all right. He's never all right. That's the point. The smiling, the animation from the Doctor. This person has been living for so many years. Because if you have immortality or you live for so long, you lose and you lose and you lose. And we've seen this play out in the revival, in The Waters of Mars. The bitterness that comes with that. And that frustration explodes in The Waters of Mars. And see what he does. Because he remembers losing Donna. But here, he doesn't explode. He's so hurt and shocked. Because as I say, he expected to go and pick her up and travel with her. And this is what's amazing for me, and Moffat's a genius here, because he does it on purpose. He doesn't think for 1 second how this affects Rose. He's just going to bring her along the ride. What's going to happen? Are they going to be lovers? What's Rose going to think about this? He doesn't think of Rose's feelings for 1 minute. And I suppose a lot of people will say, well, that's a typical bloke, isn't it? And I hear none of that. We're all different. And some of us have, you know, I wouldn't do things like that. I'm not saying that's me, but, you know, calm down. But I suppose maybe Moffat's giving, because we know how these creatives are like, especially these days, maybe he was trying to say the Doctor is kind of being a toxic male here, labelling him as part of toxic masculinity. I don't know, I'm not going to go that deep into it. But the Doctor is a selfish character. This is why I don't like Chibnall making the Doctor flawless. The Doctor has never been flawless, and one of the flaws, actually, of Jodie's Doctor is that she has no flaws. And that's problematic, and that's a shame for her, because she could have gone down as a great Doctor if she actually had flaws. And there was nuance to her character development. What character development? She doesn't have any. That's a shame. But here we see a very flawed Doctor going to bring on someone he's just met to the TARDIS. Now, he loves Rose. She loves him. But as I said earlier, he's not like you or me. He doesn't think he's being disloyal. And that's the thing. And when we see the school reunion episode and he's reunited with Sarah Jane, he doesn't really get what Rose is feeling. You know, he doesn't really see the problem. And also, you know, Sarah Jane's hurt because Rose says spitefully, he never mentioned you. And the Doctor doesn't see this because, as I say, this is why I love the Doctor. Whoever's playing him, however they identify as, these are important nuances of the Doctor. And Stephen Moffat got it right. The Girl in the Fireplace is one of my favourite, not only one of my favourite Doctor Who episodes of all time, it's one of my favourite episodes of the revival, and alongside his Jekyll miniseries, this is probably one of the best Stephen Moffat written episodes for television he's ever done. But nobody talks about it. People talk about it, but people talk about Blink more. I understand the Weeping Angels. The Weeping Angels are a fabulous concept. It's fucking genius. Moffat is a genius. He creates great concepts. He's brilliant. But at the end of the day, for me personally, The Girl in the Fireplace is far superior to Blink. This has been the Doctor Who Daily. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss this perfection, and I'll see you again tomorrow with even more Doctor Who Daily. Until then, goodbye.